Once I returned home, I dropped my bag by the door and sank into the living room chair. The silence in the apartment was deafening. On the coffee table lay the divorce papers Jason had shoved at me hours earlier. My eyes kept drifting to them, the black ink like a scar across the clean white sheets. I picked them up, my hands trembling as I held the cold weight of betrayal. The words blurred as hot tears filled my eyes. Betrayal, humiliation, cruelty, all of it swirled inside me until it pressed against my chest so tightly I thought I might suffocate. I had walked into Kayla's house with the hope, naive, maybe, that she would show some semblance of empathy, that she might scold Jason, urge him to correct his ways, or at least acknowledge my pain. Instead, I had been ambushed like prey, ridiculed like an uninvited guest, and discarded as if I were nothing but a burden. The image of Jason and Amora stepping out from that back room replayed in my head over and over like a cruel theater performance. Jason's guilty half-smile, Amora's smug posture, Kayla's satisfied smirk, all burned into my memory. And me? I was cast as the fool, standing there with shaking hands and a breaking heart. But the more I thought about it, the more something else stirred inside me, a fire. They thought they had cornered me. They thought I would crumble, weep, and obediently sign whatever papers they shoved across the table. They thought I would walk away empty-handed and defeated. They underestimated me. I wasn't just Jason's wife, or Kayla's daughter-in-law, or the pitiful woman they painted me as. I was Dana, a woman who had sacrificed, worked, loved, and endured, a woman who had carried the weight of a household, the weight of loyalty, the weight of betrayal, and had still managed to stand tall. That night, I didn't cry myself to sleep. Instead, I opened my laptop and began typing, divorce lawyers, best rated in town. I scrolled through page after page, taking notes, sending inquiries. My tears had dried, replaced by determination. If Jason wanted this war, he would get it, but not on his terms, on mine. The very next morning, I made calls. My voice didn't shake this time. I scheduled consultations, wrote down requirements, and asked questions I never thought I'd be asking. Then I gathered every piece of evidence I had, the photographs from the investigator, screenshots of Jason's unexplained absences, even the recording I had secretly taken at Kayla's house when they tried to corner me. Each file I collected felt like a weapon, proof that I wasn't the helpless woman they believed I was. Days passed, anxiety threatened to creep in, but every time it did, I reminded myself, you're stronger than this, you're fighting for your dignity. Finally, the first court hearing was scheduled. The morning of the hearing, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my blazer. My reflection looked back at me, not broken Dana, not betrayed Dana, but a woman ready for battle. I walked into the courthouse with my lawyer by my side, a thick file in my hand, my head held high. Jason was already there, sitting arrogantly with Amoris beside him. She clung to his arm like a trophy, her smile taunting, her eyes scanning me with disdain. Kayla sat a few rows back, her arms crossed, her lips curled into a smug grin, as if she were attending a performance she expected to enjoy. Jason smirked when he saw me. This will be over quickly, he muttered just loud enough for me to hear. I said nothing. Silence was more powerful than any comeback. When the judge called the case, my lawyer rose, calm and composed. Piece by piece, she laid out the evidence, Jason's infidelity, the suspicious trips, the investigator's photographs. Then came the recording from Kayla's house. The courtroom went silent as Jason's voice echoed through the speakers. That's right, if you want to leave, just sign these divorce papers. Kayla's voice followed, sharp and commanding. You will not leave here until you sign them. Every word cut through the air like a knife. I watched as Jason's smug grin faltered, as Kayla's color drained from her face. Even Amoris shifted uncomfortably, her fingers tightening around Jason's sleeve. The judge's expression grew stern. By the time my lawyer finished, the weight of the evidence was undeniable. Jason's attempts to argue fell flat, his excuses weak against the truth echoing in that room. The ruling came swiftly, alimony in my favor, a fair share of our marital assets, and legal acknowledgement of Jason's misconduct. I sat still, composed, as the judge read the verdict. Inside, my heart raced with relief. Jason muttered angrily under his breath as we left the courtroom. This is ridiculous, you're making this harder than it has to be. I stopped, turned to him, and met his glare head-on. My voice was calm, but my words carried the weight of months of pain. No, Jason, you and your mother made it harder the moment you decided I was disposable. For once, Jason had no comeback. Morris tugged at his arm, whispering for him to let it go. Kayla sat frozen in the back row, her mouth opening and closing like she wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. When I stepped out of the courthouse, sunlight bathed my face. The air felt different, lighter, freer. For the first time in months, I wasn't dragging chains of betrayal and manipulation behind me. In my hands were divorce papers, finally signed, not on their terms, but on mine. And in my heart was a realization so sharp it almost made me laugh. Freedom had never tasted so sweet. I packed my bags and went to my parents' house that same evening. My mother opened the door and froze when she saw me, my face pale and my eyes swollen from tears. "Dana, what happened? Why are you here with your suitcase?" I stepped inside, barely holding myself together. My father emerged from the living room, concern written all over his face. When I finally explained everything, Jason's betrayal, Kayla's cold indifference, and the humiliating scene with Morris, they both grew outraged. "How dare they treat you this way?" my father said, slamming his fist on the armrest of his chair. "You will stay here as long as you need, Dana. We'll handle this together." Those words were a balm to my heart. I wasn't alone anymore. For the first few weeks, I focused on regaining my balance. My mother cooked meals for me, my father offered quiet reassurance, and slowly, I gathered the strength to face what lay ahead. I refused to let Jason and Kayla have the last word in my life. About a month later, the inevitable happened. My lawyer scheduled a formal meeting with Jason regarding alimony arrangements. Predictably, Jason didn't come alone. Kayla sat by his side, her posture stiff, her expression smug, as though this was all some trivial business deal. The tension in the room was thick. I had already anticipated a battle, which was why I had resisted signing the divorce papers immediately. I knew that by demanding alimony first, I could strengthen my financial position. Guided by my lawyer, I sent a certified letter not only to Jason but also to Morris, ensuring the request was legally binding. I had braced myself for resistance, but to my surprise, Jason quickly agreed. "Fine," he muttered, as if eager to end things. "I'll pay the amount, just sign the divorce papers already." He shoved the documents toward me like they were trash. Kayla smirked, convinced they had won. I kept my voice steady. "All right, but remember, from this point forward, I won't be there to help or support you in any way." They both laughed, dismissing my words. "That sounds like something we should be saying to you," Jason mocked. But deep inside, I knew the future would reveal the truth. Once the divorce was finalized, I moved into a small but cozy apartment near my office. It wasn't extravagant, but it was mine. The commute was shorter, which gave me more time to focus on my career, free from the endless household chores I once carried alone. I seized overtime opportunities and enrolled in professional certification courses. My income grew steadily, and for the first time in years, I felt in control of my own destiny. Jason and Kayla, I put them out of my mind, or so I thought. A year later, an unexpected call shattered the quiet rhythm of my new life. The number looked familiar, but I couldn't place it until I answered. "Dana, oh, thank goodness I've reached you." It was Kayla. Her voice, once sharp and dismissive, now trembled with desperation. "What do you want, Kayla?" I asked cautiously. It's that woman, Morris. I can't take it anymore," she blurted out. I had a suspicion. "Are you drowning in debt, loan sharks, gambling?" Her gasp confirmed it. "How did you know?" Calmly, I explained. I had an investigator look into her before. I knew she wasn't what she pretended to be. Kayla's tone shifted from desperation to accusation. "So you knew, and you left us to suffer? You betrayed us." I nearly laughed at the absurdity. "Me? Betray you? Don't forget, it was Jason who betrayed me, and you stood by him, mocking me. If you've called to play the victim, don't bother." "Wait," she cried before I could hang up. "Would you consider getting back with Jason? Please, if this continues, we'll both be ruined because of Morris." Her plea revealed everything. Morris had moved in, taken advantage of them, and drained their savings. Kayla confessed that Morris controlled the household, dumped chores onto her, and pressured Jason into covering her growing debts. My investigator had been right. Morris was addicted to gambling, throwing away money on horse races and casinos. "Oh, Kayla," I said softly, though there was no sympathy in my tone. "So it wasn't me who was lacking after all. It was Morris, but her downfall isn't my concern anymore." Kayla begged me to intervene, her pride long gone. Please don't abandon us. Almost all our savings are gone. Jason's salary was cut because of that letter you sent to his company about Morris's debts. I was stunned by her audacity. So now you blame me? You expect me to clean up the mess you created? Still, I offered one final piece of advice. If she's harassing you, record her, collect proof of her gambling. That way Jason can divorce her and cut her off. Kayla hesitated, then whispered, that might work, thank you. Months later, word reached me, Jason had indeed divorced Morris. She vanished from their lives, drowning under the weight of her debts. Chased by creditors, Jason and Kayla were finally free of her, but not without scars. Their finances were shattered, their pride crushed. And me? I was thriving. In the years that followed, Kayla continued calling, sometimes begging, sometimes hinting at reconciliation with Jason, but I ignored her. I had no intention of stepping back into their world of deceit and manipulation. I even blocked their numbers, shutting that chapter of my life forever. Meanwhile, something beautiful blossomed in my own life. A kind colleague at work became a close friend, then something more. He was gentle, supportive, and nothing like Jason. 3 years after my divorce, we married. Soon after, we welcomed a child into the world, a bright little soul who filled our home with laughter. My new husband treated me as an equal partner. He cherished me, respected me, and stood by me through everything. With him, I discovered what love was truly meant to feel like. Looking back, I sometimes marvel at Kayla's bizarre theatrics, the day she called Jason and Morris from the next room, staging my humiliation like it was some kind of performance. She had thought she was clever, but in reality, she only revealed how blinded she was by arrogance. Jason and Kayla both got exactly what they deserved. As for Morris, her whereabouts remain unknown, swallowed by her debts. Occasionally I wonder if she's still chasing cards and dice in some dimly lit casino, but the thought fades quickly. Because the truth is, her story no longer matters to me. I survived betrayal, I rebuilt my life, and I found happiness again, stronger and brighter than ever before.